The first story, The Mirror and the Broken Mirrors. Please pay attention. I started telling. By the end of the story, we will understand better than at the beginning because this is the story of a demon. One day the devil was very happy because he had created a very strange example. The good things that look into it, Don and number 39, show anything. On the contrary, the ugly things become clearer and stand out, making them look even uglier. Beautiful landscapes look like boiled spinach, the best people become hateful or walk upside down, sometimes even losing their stomachs. Their faces were so distorted that people could no longer recognize them. If a person only has one freckle, looking in the mirror, the freckle will quickly spread across the nose and around the mouth. The devil thought that was very interesting. When a person has a good thought, that thought is reflected in the mirror as grimaces, and the devil laughs with glee at his cunning invention. All the devil and number 39's disciples, for the devil has a school, said that that mirror was a wonder. They said, "Then people can know the true face of the world and humanity." And they carried the mirror everywhere so that there was not a thing, not a person, that was not distorted by the devil. They want to fly up to the sky to mock the fairies and even the gods. The higher they fly, the more the mirror grimaces. It and number 39's very difficult for them to keep the mirror. They flew up and finally flew closer to God and the fairies. The mirror grimaced, crumpled, and twisted so much that it slipped out of the demons and number 39's hands and fell into a million pieces. Thus, the harm is even greater than before, because some pieces, just the size of grains of sand, are blown around the world, and once they fly into people and number 39's eyes, they see everything as magic like a large mirror. Some people had mirror fragments shot into their hearts. It was terrible because their hearts became as cold as ice. There are some big pieces that can be used as glass, but Don and number 39's look at your friends through those glasses. As for the devil, he burst out laughing. Alas! To this day, there are still countless fragments of the magic mirror in the air. Second story, two babies now let and number 39's listen to another story. In the middle of a city, the population is so dense that there is not enough space for each person to have a small garden, so they have to grow flowers in pots. However, there are also two poor children who have a garden a little larger than a flower pot. They are not siblings, but they love each other like children. Their parents lived next to each other, in two attic rooms close to the roof. In the middle of the two rooms, there is a water trough. Each room has a small window. Just step through the water trough to get from house to house. Their parents hung a large wooden barrel under the roof, grew vegetables in the barrel to eat, and even a rose tree. So one box has one rose root, and these rose roots grow very strongly. Their parents thought of placing two buckets on the water trough and creating a bridge between the two windows. You could call it a small garden. The plants in the garden grew very well. Beans dangled from wooden crates, persimmons curled their branches around the windows, one tree leaned against another, looking like a green triumphal arch made of flowers and leaves. Two children are allowed to play together on the top of the crate. They sat on little chairs under the roses and played obediently. Winter comes, the windows are covered with frost. Two children, the younger brother and number 39's name was Kay, and the younger sister and number 39's name was Gerda, took copper shillings, heated them in the stove, then pressed the cold glass and thus formed a small, round, clear glass hole on each glass door that could see through. In the summer, they could reach each other and number 39's house with just one jump, but in the winter, they had to climb up and down many stairs to meet each other, and outside there was snow flying around. Kay and number 39's grandmother said, "The white bees are buzzing." "Do they have a god, lady?" Kay asked her because she knew that bees must have a queen. She replied, "Absolutely yes. The queen bee flies where the snow is heaviest. The queen bee is the largest in the colony and she never lands on the ground. It always flies into the clouds. Many winter nights, it flew over the streets of the city and looked through glass windows. At that time, the glass window was covered with frost, forming beautiful white flowers." "Oh, yes, I saw it," the two children said in unison because they believed the old woman was telling the truth. "Can the Snow Queen come in, Ma and number 39's?" Gerda asks. "Yes," she replied. "Just come here and see." Kay said. "I and number 39's put her on a hot stove and let her melt." Mrs. Kay stroked her hair and told other stories. In the evening, Kay put on her underwear, climbed into a chair near the window and looked through a hole, out into the open air. A few snowflakes fell, the largest one clinging to the edge of the wooden barrel. The snowflake grew, and then turned into a woman wearing a brilliant white dress that looked like it was woven from millions of tiny, star-studded cotton threads. She looked polite and lovely, but her whole body was icy and her eyes were dazzling. Yet she still seemed like a real person. Her eyes were like a pair of bright stars, staring forever without blinking. She looked toward the window, nodded and waved. Kay panicked and jumped under the chair. It seemed he saw a large bird flying through the roof window. The next day, it was cold. Then the snow melts and spring comes again. The sun was shining, the grass was green, the swallows were nesting. The windows were open and the two children went out to play in the small garden high above the stairs, near the water trough close to the roof. Summer comes, roses bloom brilliantly. Little Gerda had memorized a hymn about roses, and she sang it to Kay. "Roses grow in the valley, where Jesus is speaking to us." The young couple, holding hands, kissed the roses, looked at the bright Son of God and spoke to them as if they were talking to Jesus. Summer days are so beautiful. How happy we are to be able to play together next to the lush rose trees that are constantly blooming. Kay and Gerda were sitting and looking at pictures of animals in a book. The clock in the church steeple struck 5:00 and number 39's clock when suddenly Kay cried out, "Oh, my heart hurts and something shot into my eye." Gerda could N and #39's see anything. "Maybe it shot out there," Kay said. But Kay was wrong. It is one of those devilish mirrors. Surely you remember the devilish mirror that makes everything noble and beautiful that is looked at become vile and evil, and anything that is already evil that is looked into will become vile and evil. The mirror becomes even uglier and every defect of each object will be revealed immediately. Poor Kay had just had a piece of that mirror shot into her heart, and since then Kay and number 39's heart no longer felt pain, but disaster had come to her. Kay asked Gerda, "Why are you crying?" Gerda looks so ugly. "I Don and number 39's T like anything. Enlarged. This rose has been eaten by worms. This one is withered. All kinds of roses are thrown away. They look like wooden barrels in which rose trees are planted. As he spoke, he kicked the bucket hard and plucked 2 roses. Kay, what are you doing? Gerda screamed. But when she saw her friend scared, Kay plucked another rose and ran out the window, away from the lovely Gerda. Gerda brought the picture book. Kay scoffed at those beautiful pictures and good books. When Mrs. Kay told the fairy tale, Kay still listened to it the same. But how could we explain the change in the boy? He sat behind the old lady, put on his glasses and imitated what she said. He imitated very well, making everyone laugh. Shortly after, he imitated and followed everyone on the street. Whoever has a strange or ugly habit, Kay can immediately imitate it and everyone compliments. This boy is so smart. It was the broken mirror that shot into Kay and number 39's eyes. It was the broken mirror that got into the baby and number 39's heart. Yes, that and number 39's why she mocked Gerda, whom she loved so much before. The games between young couples used to be so fun, but now they are no longer exciting. One winter day, when the snow fell non-stop, Kay took a microscope outside and held up the hem of his shirt to catch the snowflakes. Kay said, "Gerda, look through the glass and see." Each snowflake seemed to grow larger, looking like a brilliant flower or like a 10-pointed star. It and number 39's beautiful. How beautiful is it? Kay said. Gerda, see? As beautiful as real flowers. The snowflake has no blemish at all. It is perfect until it melts into water. A moment later, Kay, wearing gloves, carried the sled over. She said to Gerda, "I and number 39's am allowed to go skiing in the square with everyone." Saying that, Kay went to the ski area. The bravest children often tie their sleds behind the farmer and number 39's cart to go on long outings. That game is really interesting. The children were playing together, when suddenly a large sleigh approached. A woman sat inside, wrapped in a white fur coat and wearing a white hat. The car drove around the lot twice. Kay tied his bike to the back of that car and slid along. They went into the street next door. The car slid faster and faster. The woman sitting in the car turned around and smiled at Kay. It seemed like she knew her. Every time Kay tried to take her car apart, the strange woman would shake her head, making Kay not dare to move anymore. Just like that, they reached the door. At that time, the snow fell so heavily that Kay could no longer see her hands. Kay quickly removed the rope connecting her car to the big sled, but to no avail. My small car seemed to be connected to the big car and was dragged along like the wind. Kay cried out loudly, but no one heard her. The snow was falling and the car was still running. Occasionally the car bumps up and down as if driving through fields and prairies. Kay was afraid. I want to read a sutra, but I only remember the 9-chapter version. The snowflakes grew bigger and bigger, as big as chickens. The horse pulling the cart suddenly jumped aside. The car stopped and the person sitting in the car stood up. His coat and hat were full of snow. It was a noble-looking woman, tall, tough, white, the Snow Queen. "So we arrived safely and unharmed," she said. "If you are cold, crawl into my bear skin." She put Kay in the car next to her, and pulled the fur coat over her. I sat there as if buried in a pile of snow. "Are you still cold?" she asked while hugging and kissing my forehead. The kiss was cold and penetrated deep into K and number 39's heart. The heart is as cold as ice. I feel like I and number 39 am about to die. But that feeling only lasted for a moment. Everything around me is blurry and unclear. She cried out, "My sled!" Dawn and number 39, forget my sled. That was the first thing I thought of after waking up. She tied her cart to the back of a white chicken, which flew after them, carrying the cart on its back. She kissed Kay again, and she completely forgot little Gerda, her, and her parents. "I will only kiss you this one more time," said the Snow Queen, "because you will die if I kiss you again." Kay looked at her. She is very beautiful. No one can imagine a more beautiful face. She did not live her life as cold as ice like the day she waved to Kay outside her window. To Kay, she was perfect. I didn't and #39 feel scared anymore and told her that I knew how to do mental arithmetic, knew how to do third law math, and knew the faces and populations of several countries. The Snow Queen smiled. Kay felt that her understanding was not in place and she looked out into the vast space. The storm and number 39's wind howled madly, sounding vaguely like the echoes of ancient songs. They crossed many forests, lakes, ponds, seas and lands. An ice-cold wind blew under their feet, wolves howled, snow sparkled, and black crows flew and cawed. At night, the moon sparkles throughout the sky. During the day, Kay sleeps at the feet of the Snow Queen. Third story. The Garden of the Grandmother Who Knows How to Perform Miracles. When Kay left, what did Gerda think? Where is Kay going? No one knew. No one knew anything about Kay and number 39's whereabouts. Only the children said that they had seen Kay tie his cart to a large sled and go out the window. So many tears were shed, little Gerda cried endlessly. In the end, people guessed that Kay had died, that she had fallen into a nearby river. Spring has come again and the sun is shining again. Kay must have died somewhere far away, Gerda said. I Dawn and number 39 believe so, the sun said. Kay must have died somewhere far away. The baby said to the swallows. We Dawn and number 39 believe that. The birds answered. In the end, Gerda did not believe that Kay was dead. One morning she said, I put on a pair of brand new red shoes that Kay had never seen before and went to the river to ask where Kay was. It was just dawn. I kissed my grandmother, who was still sleeping, took her red shoes and left alone, following the door to the river. Oh song, is it true that River captured the friend who usually plays with me? I will give you the red shoes if you give them back to me. It seems like the waves are welcoming you warmly. I threw the shoes I treasure most in the world into the fast-flowing water. But the shoe fell too close to the shore and the waves washed over it. It seems that the river refused to accept Gerda and number 39's most precious thing, because the river did not capture Kay. I thought I hadn't and #39 thrown it far, so I climbed onto a canoe floating among the sedge bushes and walked to the bow of the canoe to throw the shoes down again. The canoe was untied and drifted away. I saw this and quickly walked towards the back of the boat, but the boat had already drifted more than a meter from shore and was moving faster every day. Gerda was so scared that she cried, but no one heard her except the sparrows. Birds cannot carry me to shore. They flew along the banks and sang to comfort her. We are here. Here we are. The boat drifted along the water, completely away from the river bank. Gerda sat in the boat, wearing only her socks. The shoes floated behind, unable to keep up with the boat. On both banks, hundreds of flowers bloomed, ancient trees luxuriated, herds of cows and sheep grazed in the fields, but there was not a single person in sight. Maybe the river will take me to my little Kay, Gerda thought. That thought makes me happy. I stood up and looked at the green banks for hours. The canoe floated past a large garden planted with cherries. In the garden there was a small house with strange windows painted red and blue. The house is thatched and in front there are two wooden soldiers holding guns as if greeting passers-by. Gerda thought they were real people and called for help, but of course they didn't and #39 answer. The current pushed the boat close to the shore, near the house. Gerda cried louder. An old woman came out of the house. She was on crutches and wearing a large straw hat. Poor girl. The old woman said, "Why did you drift on a fast-flowing river like this?" She used her crutch, pulled the boat to shore and helped Gerda ashore. I was happy to walk on earth, but I was also a little afraid of this unfamiliar old woman. Come here, whose family are you from? Why did you come all the way here? Gerda recounted what happened. The old woman shook her head. Ha! Ha! When Gerda asked her if she had seen Kay, the old woman replied that Kay had not come here, but Kay would probably come. So Don and #39. Be sad, but taste the sweet fragrant cherries and see the flowers more beautiful than those in any picture book. Each flower tells a very long story. The old woman took Gerda and #39's hand and led her into the house and closed the door. Through the very high windows, through the red, blue, and yellow glass panes, a magical light shines into the house. The table was full of delicious-looking cherries. Gerda could eat as much as she wanted. The old woman used a golden comb to comb her hair, curling it into shiny golden buds around Gerda and #39's lovely, pretty face. Having long dreamed of having a granddaughter, the old woman said, "I will find every way to relieve your sadness." While she was combing Gerda and #39's hair, she gradually forgot about Kay, her best friend, because the old woman had miracles. But she is not an evil witch. She only liked to do good and she really wanted to keep Gerda. So she went into the garden, took her crutch and pointed at the rose bushes, causing the beautiful blooming flowers to suddenly disappear into the black soil, leaving no trace of the flowers visible. The old woman was afraid that seeing Gerda flowers would remind her of Kay and leave. She led Gerda into the garden. The scenery here is beautiful, the fragrance is sweet. Here there are all kinds of flowers, unimaginably numerous, flowers of all 4 seasons, of all colors and shapes. There is no other collection of paintings that is so colorful and beautiful. Gerda happily jumped everywhere. I played until the sun set behind the cherry trees. The old woman prepared a splendid bed for me, with red pillows with purple trim so that I could sleep and dream dreams as beautiful as the dreams of a queen. The next day, I played with flowers again in the warm sun. Many days have passed like that. Gerda knew every flower, but there were so many that she felt like she was missing one. Don and #39 know what kind of cotton. One day I was sitting and suddenly looked at the old woman and number 39's hat with flowers painted on it, and the most beautiful flower was a rose. The old woman cast a spell for the roses to fall into the ground, but forgot the rose on the hat. Who in life can think of everything at once? Star? Gerda asks. Are there no roses here, Ma and number 39, Am? I ran into the flower beds and searched but could N and #39 T find any roses. I sat down and burst into tears. Her tears fell right where a rose tree had disappeared, wetting the ground, and immediately the rose grew again, as fresh as before it went underground. Gerda hugged the rose tree, kissed the flower, thought of the rose at home and thought of K. Die. I and number 39. They wasted so much time. I said, should we go find K? Does Wa know where K is? Does Wa believe that K died somewhere far away? Rose replied, K is not dead yet. We were just underground, where the dead people lived, but we didn't and #39 T see him. Gerda said, thank you, flowers. I went to the other flowers, looked at the petals and said, do you know where K is now? But under the sun, flowers only narrate events that have happened in their lives. Gerda learned many more stories, but none of them told her where K was. Red Lily said, do you hear the sound of drums? There are only 2 words. Tongue. Tongue. Listen to the widow and number 39's singing. Listen to the monks pray. An Indian woman dressed in a red dye climbed onto the funeral pyre. The fire wrapped around her and her husband and number 39's body, but she thought of the person who still lived in her heart, of the person whose eyes were brighter than the funeral pyre. Fire, whose fiery gaze penetrated her stronger than the flames that were about to burn her body to ashes. Can the fire of the heart die in the fire of the firewood? Gerda said, I can and number 39 T help it, I don't and number 39 T understand anything. That and number 39's what happened in my life. Red Lily said. And what story are the morning glory flowers going to tell? On the trail above the craggy mountain there is a castle. The orphan tree is green all year round, growing on the red walls, up to the balcony, and on the balcony, a very beautiful girl often stands there. She bent down and looked across the ravine down to the road. Among the roses hanging from the branches, there is no flower as beautiful as her. The plum blossoms being blown away by the wind were no more comforting to her. Her silk dress fluttered in the wind. And you, why Haven and number 39 T you come yet? Gerda asks, are you thinking about K? Convolvulus replied, I and number 39 am just telling my life, telling my dream. What story do ranunculus flowers tell? In the middle of the trees, people hang ropes and wooden planks to make swings. 2 beautiful babies are swinging. Each of them has a snow-white rose on their hat and a blue silk strip fluttering in the wind. The 2 children sat with their legs dangling, and their brother stood on the swing. The younger brother wrapped his arms around the rope to hold the swing more firmly, because in one hand he had to hold a bowl and in the other an earthen soap bubble blower. He swung on the swing and blew a row of strings of bubbles with soapy water. They flew up and looked like they were dyed in many colors. The last bubble stuck to the bellows and was blown to one side by the wind. A small black dog stood and stretched out its hind legs to follow and swing. Swinging, the dog fell down and barked loudly. Soap bubbles gradually burst. A piece of board flies, a bubble bursts. That and number 39's my song. The story Wa told was good, but Wa and number 39's voice was very sad, and Wa never mentioned K and number 39's name. What does the hyacinth say? There are 3 pure and lovely sisters. 1 girl in red shirt, 1 girl in blue shirt, 1 girl in white shirt. Holding hands, the girls danced on the calm surface of the lake under the moonlight. The air was fragrant. They disappeared into the forest. The scent is more fragrant. A moment later, 3 coffins, with 3 girls lying in them, slid from the dark forest into the lake. All around, fireflies perched on the branches looked like baby lights. Are the girls sleeping or have they stopped breathing? The fragrance of all the flowers makes me feel that they are dead. The evening bell rang the requiem. Flowers scared me. Gerda said the scent of flowers was so strong it made me think the girls were dead and Kay too, but was Kay really dead? The roses buried in the ground say that Kay is not dead, is that true? Glass Kung. Bell-shaped hyacinth flowers vibrate. We won and number 39's ring the bell to pray for Kay because we Dawn and number 39's know who Kay is. We just sing our song, the only song we know. Gerda, go to the snowflake sparkling in the cluster of blue leaves. She said, the flower is as beautiful as a bright sun. Please show me where I can find Kay, my best friend. Snowflower looked lovingly at Gerda. What song should Wa sing now? The flower and number 39's song has nothing to do with Kay. On the first day of spring, the hot sun shone down on a small yard. The rays of sunlight glided to the white wall of the house next door, where the first yellow flowers grew, sparkling like real gold. An old woman sat on a chair in the yard. Her niece is poor, has to live, but is very beautiful, stops by and visits her and can only come from a heart more precious than gold. The girl and number 39's lips and even the sunrise sparkled like real gold. That and number 39's the story of snowflakes. That story makes me think of my poor grandmother, Gerda sighed. Yes, she must be sad because of me, just as she is very sad because of Kay and number 39's absence. I and number 39's come back and bring Kay back too. It and number 39's useless to keep asking. Flowers only know about flowers. Wa could N and #39's tell me anything more. I lifted up my pretty skirt so I could run more lightly. But the daffodils kicked my feet when I jumped over them. I stopped, looked at the flower and asked, maybe the flower knows something? I bowed down to the beautiful glass flower. Wa said, in that attic, there is a little dancer practicing dancing, sometimes dancing with both legs, sometimes with one leg up and then putting it down again, looking dazed. Now, raise your feet. And so she swayed as if standing on a flower stem. I Dawn and number 39's like hearing that story. Gerda said, Dawn and number 39's tell me that story is useless. I ran out the garden door. The door was closed tightly, but I was able to remove the latch and the door opened. Gerda ran out, her feet stepping on the ground. 3 times I looked back, but no one followed me. Finally, my legs tired, I sat down on a rock. Looking around, I realized that summer was over. It and number 39's Late autumn. Something I can, and number 39. See in the garden that, and number 39. Always sunny and full of seasonal flowers. God! How much time have we lost? Is it autumn? Already? Then I shouldn't and #39 rest anymore. I stood up and set off again. My legs are tired. Around me, everything began to be affected by the cold. The willow leaves have turned yellow and are dripping dew onto the water. Leaves begin to fall. In particular, there was an apricot tree that was heavy with acrid fruits that were painful to eat. The landscape is gray and heavy. Thank you for joining us for today's fairy tale. We hope these stories bring joy and meaning to your day. If you love our channel, please hit the subscribe button so you won't miss any exciting tales. Wishing you a good night and sweet dreams. See you in the next story.